Hello students, we will do sexual reproduction in flowering plants. All of you know what are flowering plants? The other name of flowering plants, these are also known as angiosperms, which have naked flowers. They are known as gymnosperms, and the flowering plants, they are known as angiosperms. So we will do sexual reproduction in flowering plants or angiosperms. Flowers are the reproductive organs of these flowering plants. All of you have seen the flowers, and these flowers, they are of two types. First, I will say these flowers, they are having 4 whorls. 4 whorls of different type of structures. Out of these 4 whorls, 2 are essential whorls having reproductive part, and other 2 are accessory whorls which help in reproduction, which help in sexual reproduction. What are these 4 whorls? The accessory whorls are calyx and corolla, and essential whorls are gynoecium and androecium. I am writing these. The accessory are calyx and corolla, and essential whorls are androecium and gynoecium. Learn the spelling of androecium and gynoecium. So the calyx, the single unit of calyx is known as sepal. All of you have learned this in smaller classes. The single unit of corolla is known as petals. Androecium, the single unit known as stamen, and the single unit of gynoecium is known as carpel. Usually all the carpels, they are found in United States. So in flowers, in most of the flowers, we can either say carpel or we can either say gynoecium. So stamens may be many, 4, 5, 6, and even hundreds of stamens are present in hibiscus or China rose. And sepals may be 4, 5 or many, petals may be 4, 5 or many. These are essential which produce gametes, and stamen produce male gamete and gynoecium produce female gamete or ovum. So these are essential whorls, and these are accessory whorls, calyx and corolla. They help in first pollination and then in fertilization to form the seed. So this is how the different whorls of flower. I will draw a simple flower. The simple flower, the diagrammatic view, this is the receptacle and this is the pedicel of the flower or the stalk, known as stalk. This is known as receptacle, and this is the LS of flower, longitudinal section of flower, longitudinal section of angiospermic flower. So these are sepals or corolla, this calyx, and these are the petals. Together they are known as corolla. In the center, this carpel is present. This carpel has 3 parts, and around this carpel are present stamens. So these are stamens of the male part, and this is carpel. This carpel has embryo sac, and then so this is the structure of a LS of flower. This is sepal, this is petal, this is stamen, this is anther. Anther has three parts. Stamen has three parts. Anther, here it is connective, and this part is known as filament. The slender stalk is known as filament, and this is the complete group of stamens known as androecium, and this is the carpel. This carpel has three parts, as you can see. This is stigma, this is style, and this is ovary. Inside the ovary, this ovum or egg cell is present. First, ovule is present, and inside the ovule, this ovum or egg cell is present. So this is the structure of an angiospermic flower. Now in this flower, you can see both male organs and female organs both are present. So these type of flowers where both male and female reproductive organs are present, they are known as bisexual flowers, or also known as hermaphrodite. Also known as hermaphrodite or bisexual flowers. Or you can have many examples like hibiscus, China rose, then jasmine, any name you take, petunia, gladiolus, anything. All are mostly they are bisexual flowers. Neem, mango, all are bisexual flowers, having bisexual flowers where male and female both the reproductive organs are there. But some flowers are there which are only having female or only having male. Then they are known as male flowers or female flowers. So the example, the important example, the general example are there, and this is known as papaya. All of you know papaya, papita. In papaya, male flowers are separate than the female flowers. In female flowers, only carpel is present. In male flowers, only stamens are present. The other example are from the family Cucurbitaceae. This family is having cucumber, Karela or bitter gourd, then gourd, then laffa or turai, tindora. All these are melon, watermelon. All these are from family Cucurbitaceae. So the members, they are in general, they are known as cucurbits. So the members of this family, watermelon, melon, all these, they are having unisexual flowers. What they are having? These are known as unisexual flowers. Unisexual means having a single sex. Either they are male or they are female. So they may be present on one plant only. That is, on the one plant both male and female are present, as in some gourd and laffa. Or they may be present, as in papaya, they may be present on different trees, different plants. On one papaya plant only male are present, on the other papaya plant only females are present. But in Cucurbitaceae, on the same plant they have these vines, long vines are there, and on the vine in the front portion male or female are present, and in the back male or female are present. So this is how flowers may be bisexual or flowers may be unisexual. This is one thing. Now how this sexual production is done. these male parts or the anthers, they form gametes, male gametes. The male gametes, you know, this is the sign of male. The male gametes in flowers, they are known as pollen grains. They are of different colors and different, generally they are light yellowish color. If you touch a flower, you will have yellow color powder on your fingers, that are pollens. So the male gametes, they are pollen grains. These pollen grains are produced in the anthers by meiotic cell division. Now you know what is meiosis. So the chromosome number is half-end in these pollen grains. This is the female part, and the female egg or ovum, it is present inside the ovary. It is formed here by the division of the cells, and it is also haploid or having half the number of chromosomes and formed by meiotic cell division or reduction cell division. So for sexual reproduction to take place, what should happen? These male gametes or the pollen grains should combine with the female gamete. Female gamete is ovum or egg. So these pollen grains should combine to the egg, and fertilization should take place, and then zygote should form, and then the seed should be formed. Then what is the process by which these pollens, they come to the egg? This process is known as pollination. Why the name pollination? Because pollens are going to the egg to fertilize the egg. So how this pollination takes place? These anthers, when the pollen grains mature, the plant mature, anthers are mature, then they burst open. There are many ways they can burst: linear, transverse, by pores. So these anthers, they burst open and pollen grains come out. And these pollen grains then come to the stigma of the carpel. This is the stigma. It is sticky, have some nectar or some gum-like thing or some hairs, so that the pollen grains, they stick to the stigma. Once the pollen grains comes to the stigma, they starts germinating. Yes, pollen grains also germinate like the seeds. They start germinating. I will draw here, and this coming of pollen grains on the stigma is known as pollination. And this pollination is of two types. One is self-pollination and the other is cross-pollination. What is the difference? If the pollens of the same flower come to the stigma of that flower, then it is self-pollination. And if the pollens of this flower goes to the pollen of some other flower on the same plant or some other plant, then it is known as cross-pollination. This is the one thing, one difference. Sometimes it is asked in exam, what is the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination? The one difference I have told you. The second difference is, for self-pollination, no external agent is required. These pollens, anthers burst and just pollen fall on the stigma. But for cross-pollination, some external agents like air or water or animals like bees, honeybees, these butterflies, or human being or other animals, they are required to transfer the pollens from this flower to the next flower on the same plant or on the other plants. So this is the second difference. In cross-pollination, external agents are needed. In self-pollination, no external agent is needed. And one more we will discuss is later, that variation is less in self-pollination and variation is more in cross-pollination. Variation, where variation? Variation in the genetic material. That is, genetic variation is less in self and genetic variation is more in cross-pollination. So what is pollination? Pollination is transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma is known as pollination. Once the pollen, it comes to this stigma, what happens we will see next. I am drawing this a big enlarged. This is the stigma. This is style and this is the ovary. I am drawing only style, this carpel. Suppose the pollen grain is here. Pollen grain comes here. This pollen grain, it has two walls, intine and the external wall known as exine. It is having these ornaments, and these pollen grains, they have 3 gaps. These are known as pores. So these have weakened intine and it has 2 nucleus. One is the tube nucleus and other is the generative nucleus. So what happened when this pollen grain, it sticks on the stigma, from any of the germ pores, a tube known as pollen tube, it starts coming out. And this pollen tube, it runs in the stigma. It goes through the stigma, this pollen tube, and here in this ovary there is this ovule is there. This is ovule, and inside the ovule embryo sac is there. This is the embryo sac. This embryo sac has 3 cells here. The center one is egg, 2 cells here and 3 cells here. So this is 8 nucleate embryo sac. This is ovule. This is ovary, this is style, all of you know. Now pollen tube, it starts coming like this and it enters the ovule. And when it enters the ovule, it comes near this egg. And it is having these male nuclei, male gametes. 2 male gametes, they are in this, here this tube nucleus, it forms the tube. The generative nucleus, they come in this tube, they divide into 2 and 2 male nuclei or male gametes are formed. These male gametes, they travel inside this tube, pollen tube, and they come near this egg. This is egg. One of the nucleus, one of the male gametes, it fuses with eggs, and this is the action of process of fertilization. If I can make here, this is egg, this is the pollen tube, this is the male gamete, it comes to this and fuses with this, and this is known as fertilization. Fertilization takes place, one male gamete fuses with egg and the other male gamete fuses with these nuclei, that is a different story, and endosperm is formed by fusion of male gamete to these nuclei. But we are concerned only with the fusion of one of the male gametes to this egg. This fusion of male and female is known as fertilization. When fertilization happens, then this becomes zygote and it starts developing in size. And this zygote is inside this ovule. Later on, this ovule, it produces a hard seed cover or testa and it converts into seed. Whole of the ovary, it converts into fruit. Very rapid growth is there and this ovary converts into fruit. All these sepal, petals, stamen, they get off from the flower. They drop off, they are shriveled and they drop off. And only this ovary and ovules inside the ovary, they remain, they form fruit, and these ovules, they form seeds. In this way, seeds are formed. These seeds are also of two types, dicotyledonous seeds and monocotyledonous seeds. If the plant is dicot, the seed is dicotyledonous like the. So first I will write ovary, it turns to fruit, and ovule, it turns to seeds. And this zygote, it forms embryo. So if this is the seed of gram, if this is gram seeds, if we open it, we will have two cotyledonous, and in the center this embryonic axis is there. This is the plumule and this is the radicle. So these are cotyledons, two cotyledons. They have stored food for germination. This is radicle which will form future root. This is plumule which will form future shoot. So this is the embryonic, this is the embryonic axis. In between the two cotyledons, this axis is present. This is plumule, this is radicle, form the future shoot. When this seed is sown in the soil, these cotyledons, they give its nourishment until the green leaves are formed, and this plumule or the shoot, it grows upwards towards the sun, and root or the radicle, it goes down into the seed, and this process is known as germination. So germination of seed is done, and this embryo is formed by the fertilization of male and female gamete. So this is about the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Thank you.